Howdy folks, I'm Rebecca Jolly, the Jolly Alchemist, and today we are going to do a neutrino forecast for Wednesday, the 22nd of October, 2025. However, sorry, my thing is shifting there. Within the context of the transit, I have to start talking about what's in my heart, in my mind, and really what I'm processing here myself as I'm growing and developing. I've been doing a bunch of other things. Of course, I've been working on myself for a long time. So I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to actually feel and see some progress from the work that I've been doing. And so this is just right here for me. The transit is just not that interesting in comparison. I'll give you the energy because, of course, you're watching this because you want to know the energy, and I get that. So let's talk about that first, and then maybe I'll make some time to say a little bit of something of what's going on for me and what's changing. I mean, you already know that things are changing, and I'm in a process of beginning because I'm changing the transits and how I'm presenting them. I'm still doing the same work, recording the transits, but it's what kinds of information I'm wanting to give to you that is changing. So this is a critical time. If you give a shit, this would be the time to say so and say what things you like, what things you'd like to keep, because I'm definitely entering another stage of the experiment, and things are in flux. Things are definitely able to change in a very quick way at this point. So anyway, we were on the third line of this gate of values, 50. This is what we're looking at here. And in the third line, of course, we get to the place where we're starting to get the beginning of an awareness of somebody on the outside of us. All of us who carry third line themes, or even sixth line themes if we're still under 30 years of age, we're still really figuring things out, engaging with things, and it's because we're figuring out that although this is our process, we have to deal with something. There's something out there that has to be dealt with, or it's not going to work. And we try, and it doesn't work, and this back and forth kind of stuff, because the wisdom to actually start to deal with people on the outside doesn't come until the fourth line. So in this first line, or in this third line of gate 50, it's adaptability, awareness that support is necessary. And I actually carry this line in my design. In fact, for me, it is Mars. So this is my immature energy. This is where I'm really immature, and I'm always going to be immature. So I can, get over it, but it's something for me to not try too hard to fix. Just recognize that that's kind of how it's going to be for me. And when I found out about this, I sort of looked back on the history of my life and how I've dealt with the subject of values and, morality, choosing what's right, what's wrong. Am I going to do what's right, or am I going to do what's wrong? What are the consequences going to be? How do we make things right in a world that's wrong? That's part of that question. How do I survive when I'm in a situation that's wrong, not of my own making? What do I have to do to support these children that I swore would give them, the best that I possibly could as far as life goes? But if they want food, I can pay for that with food stamps. If they want socks, I ain't got money for that. So moms have to do difficult things sometimes, and I had to do some difficult things sometimes, and I definitely made some mistakes in this adaptability, this recognizing that I needed outer support, that my principles were not nearly as important as getting the shit done. And so that's what happened. Line 3 is survival through recognizing fertility. That's interesting, this connection between the third gate, which is this gate of mutation, and the 59. They are both sacral gates, but that, and in some ways, everything that's coming off of the sacral center has to do with fertility, if you think about it. So that's an interesting thing to look at. Um, in this case today, we do have a down arrow on the 3, so that is the stubborn denial of mutation and innovation, as there is naturally always a lack of experience for mutation. When it comes to mutation, this can also actually be kind of a fear-making thing, because it's always into the new. You know, when we talk about 2027 and the times coming after that being times of great mutation, that's scary to people because it's unknown. So we have this sort of inbred xenophobia, this fear of the unknown, the fear of what is strange. Even though if we look back over our lives and we see the experiences that we've had, we can see, change is meant to come. Mutation is meant to come to make things better for us. And the mutations that are coming are meant to make things better for us. They will make things better through us. But of course, in this third line, or this third gate, there's always sort of an awareness of confusion of some kind. There's some sort of in and out of dealing with confusion. And Ra had some interesting things to say about this in the line companion, actually. He was saying, of course, in order to survive the confusion, you have to be willing to make mistakes with understanding the survival process and try different things, trial and error, before you settle down into something that's really going to work, at least for a while. What he's talking about, basically, now he wrote this book all the way back in, I don't know, he was working on it for years and years, but it finally came together, let's see, in 2011. So now we're looking at almost 15 years ago. And so he was talking about the future, and in his talking about the future, he starts to talk about what's going to happen when Pluto comes back into 60. Well, if you've been watching the transits, you know, here we are, Pluto's in 60, and it's sitting in 60 like a motherfucker because it's in retrograde. So it's just like on and on and on. So Ross says here, when Pluto comes to the 60th hexagram, we will have a whole generation of people who come and provide us with no new mutative material. And what he said just before is, this is sort of the energy of an innate contrariness which refuses to mutate. So we have this energy going. Now, it's in the global numbers. So I've been talking about this over and over again as being energy that is stuck to the old ways. And this is why in the transits and in the global sphere, we are seeing this really, really stuck energy right now of people who are trying to throw us back to the past, who are trying to go back before the times when we could have abortions, to go back to the times before women could speak their minds, before brown people could hold office, before all these changes that made people who are in charge already really uncomfortable. So what we're basically having is the natural downfall of those in charge. And what are they going to do about it? And we're seeing here what they're going to do. They're going to refuse to change. They're going to refuse to grow. They're going to refuse to mutate. And this energy is supported by the universe, actually. We have this push and pull of the newness coming in and saying, no, the skin that we're in collectively is too tight. We gotta do something. We gotta change. We gotta break it. We gotta bring in something new. And we have all of this mutative energy, this growing and shifting at the same time that we have this very clenching of the energy on the other side. The collective asshole of the world is all the way tightened down. And so they're backing up and holding shit is what they're doing. And it's not sustainable. It can't go on. So for those of you who are worried about it, thinking, we're gonna have another world war, the Nazis are coming back, I don't really think we got to worry about that, because this is all about, This one's about mutative change, and mutative change is coming. Okay, we can look in the transits to longer cycles and see absolutely that is going to shift, that is going to come around. And I think actually part of the reason that spending some time to look at the transits and understand a little bit more about the energy of these cycles and how they shift, the reason that's good is because it can give us an understanding that whatever shit we're in now, it's all right, because slowly or quickly that energy is shifting. Cycles within cycles within cycles, right? We pass through both the third gate and the 60th gate, which, as I said, these are being connected by the transit right now because Pluto's in 60 and because our Earth is in 3. It gives a new chance for that clash to find another way, for the root motor to fire through our bodies and bring new mutations, both in our bodies, in our DNA, and in our mental processes. So it's okay. We're in the time to be worried about this, but it's also nice and I think comforting to know that those of us who look to the global scale and see things that are going on in a larger uh, on a larger stage, yeah, you don't need to be afraid of that. You don't need to worry about that at all. I see things kind of happening out, like when I went and took that walk with that guy and he was like, oh, things are all scary now. And I was like, maybe in your world things are scary, but all I see is a world with a little bit more, the extreme button is turned up a little more. So we've got a little more contrast between light and dark in order so that those who can't see the contrast can get a little more clarity on that. And those of us who already see the contrast very well, all right, we don't need to be scared by that because we know it's all right. Black and white is a phase. And what comes after black and white is gray, very gray. More of an understanding and an acceptance of nuance and shades and different values. And there's not always just a bad guy and a good guy. We're all just guys. And at some level, we're all the same. So when you look at somebody who's damaged a child and you say, oh, what a horrible person, they damaged a child. Well, can't you ever see that you yourself have ever on purpose been mean to something else? Whether it was a child or kicking the cat or being mean to something, pulling somebody's ears or hair or shoving somebody down a set of stairs, whatever. We've all been mean to somebody else, all of us. That's all it is. The only time we're ever mean to someone is when we're not getting our own needs met. So everyone who is hurting somebody else is just not getting their needs met. Poor Trump. That guy has so many needs that are not getting met. Poor thing. But really, it's actually true. Hurt people. That's what they say in the therapeutic community, and it's absolutely true. So anyway, back to this. What was interesting? So he says, when Pluto comes to the 60th hexagram, we will have a whole generation of people who come and provide us, just a sec. Got a bug. Oh, I didn't get a bug. I missed it. Provide us with no new mutative material. This is a generation. So he's talking about the generation of people who are all being born right now, being touched by this 60 in Pluto. There will be a blind end when it comes to reproduction. He says, this generation will have difficulties in reproduction. Interesting. So we have something to look forward to in seeing how that plays itself out on the global scale. Because we know, of course, already that globally speaking, the numbers of population growth are already falling. People are starting to freak out about this. And my tendency to think about the thing is like, well, don't we kind of already have enough people? Like, I don't think the survival of the species is in any danger right now. So I would hope for the world that as we move into a time with less reproductive capacity, that would serve to make us more mindful and more honoring of what it is to be a child and to have children, and to see that they are our future, and that they're not something that just needs to be slotted in between work and making dinner and going to bed, but that the time we spend with these precious children that we have, honoring who they are and not trying to change them, just like, okay, we have this precious moment where it's you and me here. What can we do? What can we enjoy about this? What do you see about the world that's fresh and new that you can tell me about, rather than saying, oh, you're only 5, you're only 10, you're only 15, you don't know anything, let me tell you all the way it is. Because the truth is, we don't really know how it is anymore. We don't really have the capability to tell children anymore how it is. And those of us who are in the business of telling people how it is, children people, those people are actually in some ways acting as, what's a good word for it? Stoppers, or not negative influences, because, our public school teachers, they're trying to help and build the next generation. But without that foundational knowledge of design and what we have coming for us in the future, all they can do is try their best to prepare children to succeed in the past. That ain't working. It's already not been working for a while. It's already not been working for generations. And anyone who has been through the public school system knows on some level, whether they remember it, whether they admit it, how very deeply broken that is, how incapable of meeting the needs of our children it is. So, the sooner we start to take our children away from the tribe, away from schools, and teach them to be who they are, and teach them that they are not wrong, they are not broken. Who they are and the energy that they are carrying is exactly what we need in the future. The energy of abundance. We don't need to fight anymore. I just heard recently a talk by somebody who said, did you ever have your mother just say to you, it's okay. You don't have to compete. You don't have to perform. You don't have to strive. You don't have to work. All I want for you in this life is just for you to be okay and be happy. And whatever it takes for you to get to a place where you can be more okay and be more happy, that's what I want for you. It's not about grades. It's not about how you do in school. I don't care if you make A's. I want you to be cool. And he said, if no one's ever said that to you, now's the time. Say it to yourself. We're all of us trapped and caged in this world that has been created for us by the previous time set, by the cross of planning, by the 4037, which we've gone through in our transits to talk about. It's about the deal. It's about working. It's about sacrifice. It's about submitting. It's about being like everyone else. Let's be the collective. And that time is over. The time is done. We need to try to move into being ourselves, being authentic, being real, connecting with what our passions are. What are the things that you really, really want to do? Is it something that there's no money in? That's okay. You don't have to make money. Just go and be you. It turns out that to actually live and survive, you don't need that much money. You don't. How many people do we have living in cars? How many people do we have living without cars, living in a tent? And they find food, they find their way. Yes, are they shit on society, by society? Absolutely. But you know what? Not for much longer, because we're all going to be living without the money system in the lovely future where we're all freed from wage slavery and the need to be submitting ourselves to shit we don't want to do. So, the best thing we can do for ourselves is to use the information that we have here, not to be afraid, but to start transitioning, releasing this idea that I don't have any choice but to slave away in a job I hate to make money. This cycle that we're in of make money and spend it, make money and spend it, make money and spend it, make money, pay bills, spend it, make more money, blah, 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 blah. That's ending. We don't need that. That's going. What we need is to recognize that we have created a world that has enough abundance for us to provide enough for everyone. The only thing that we no longer have room for is the greed and hoarding of resources from the top. That's it. So the only people who are actually in any real danger going ahead into the future are assholes. They're people with needs that aren't being met, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sorry, the time for feeling sorry for Trump, it's over. He needs to retire and go and suck his thumb somewhere. And all of these people do. You know, Orban and blah, blah, blah. All these dickheads. Your time is over. You're old white men. And all you want to do is cling onto the past. We're done with that. So, moving into the future, I'll be talking much more about what it needs to move into the future and how we can help ourselves move into the future. And also an evolution that I'm processing on how to see actually how design can help us move into the future, right? Because I knew some of these things on some levels, but so much of what I'm doing in design is an experiment that I've had to accept the rules of human design as they were taught to me provisionally in order to be able to test them and work with them. And I had things that were not fitting quite right and that weren't really feeling comfortable to me, but I hadn't said, okay, I'm not going to do that. I was just like, well, I don't know. We'll see, you know, I'll look at what I can look at. And to hear this talk, I thought to myself, oh, okay. Well, somebody who knows a whole lot more than I do about human design has decided to consciously shift, the people at 64 Keys have decided to consciously shift their focus in teaching design and to openly claim it. And I realized that the things that they're doing are bringing them much more into alignment with things that I already thought, things that I already saw, things that I was already working with, problems that I was already having with human design. And so it's like permission, all of a sudden, permission to sit down in it how I was feeling I wanted to sit down into it. Like, for instance, quick, I'm getting long in time here. I really don't want to be 40 minutes every day. When I first started teaching class, I said, look, I get that Ra had his own program and he carried the channel of the Cross of Planning, the 4037, the channel of the community and the deal and all this. So he was well used to that and it was good for him. And so he set this up because of his way to be shocking to people. Oh my God, you're so broken. You're so fucked up. Look at that. And then maybe they'll be so shocked that they'll really want to work on getting better. But I see, you know, there being a lot in the world trying to say, well, okay, that's one way, but it's not the only way. And it's maybe not even the best way. And so what I said, even from that far, it was earlier this year, it was like maybe April or May of this year. I much more want to teach design from an aspect of as above, so below. It's like achieving resonance. It's a recognition of the patterns and cycles of life and how we can use them and understand them both in the imprints that have been made on our bodies and in our daily lives and in how we look at the year, you know, the decade, all the way out to that 440-year cycle that we're right in the beginning of, or in between the ending of the old and the beginning of the new. To see, okay, what can these cycles do for us? And what have these cycles already given us in terms of challenges and abilities for us in our lives like this? So more about that later. But it's interesting, it's exciting, and it's at the base good news because it's about not being guilty about the things that you weren't meant to do anymore. It's about learning how to release the things that you weren't meant to do. And it's about releasing the fear and the pressure and the stress and getting to the point where you can just relax. So, yeah, so much more. But that's enough for today. So let me give you just a little bit here to see if there's anything else. We're still moving through gate 43, so about inspiration, depth. On the global scale, we do have a shift to 62.5, which is metamorphosis. Excellent action after understanding the details. So I feel like that's kind of a good thing for today, yeah? You understand the details. I've understood the details of what's going on with the transits. I'm still tracking them on a daily basis, but now I'm feeling much more confident of, okay, I have almost a whole entire year of tracking them personally, and we have 3 months at least of looking at them together, so that we can begin to see, all right, maybe we're ready to start considering some excellent action. Yeah. And if you'd like a song for today, I received into my awareness a song 4 Degrees by Tool. And the main lyrics that are relevant are free yourself from yourself. And that's what I want to talk about more when we get into looking in the future and seeing how the transits affect us and how our charts as roadmaps affect us. So that's something to think about. And I'm going to check for comments to see if there's anybody who's talking about Thai business, anybody who gives a shit to make a comment on this in order to be able to get a free session with me. If not, that's fine. We'll just go on, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. We'll discuss it. Ciao.